Kael, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we get started? Can you still hear me? You still there?
What yeah, give me a second to share this with
you.
I actually, you sound like a robot, like a really slow robot.
Maybe you could turn off the headphones and put them on speakerphone instead. Maybe the headphones are making it worse.
Sorry again.
Testing 1 2 3 4.
What is that? All right.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Right back in.
Technical issues. Okay. That's fine. How are you guys in the chat doing? Hey, Marty. How's it going? Casey, Randy, Travis. All right. Testing. Can you hear me now? Testing 1 2 3 4.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. So, Kael, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yeah.
Also, I said the link. You should have gotten the link in the email somewhere.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, my name is Craig Westbrook. I go by Kael online. Was born Catholic, Roman Catholic, from somewhere around 12 to, and for the past 8 years, I've been writing a book, and I have come to realize was a Gnostic. So, and right now I operate a YouTube channel called Infiniti Church, and that's what brings me here today.
Cool. So, can you tell me more about Gnosticism? What do you mean by Gnosticism, and why do you believe in it?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually have a little presentation all built out for you. So yeah. To start with labels, kind of to get but I personally believe or mean by Gnosticism, epistemic solipsist, an ontological, a situational ethicist, theological, not political libertarian, and an economic communitarian. Gnosticism, I will go into a definition here very shortly, but Gnosticism, there was a church historian by the name of Pellick. He did some, he was really bright guy, knew 4 languages well, wrote a 4-part church history, or the history of the Christian church, and in it speaks of Gnosticism not as an import from Egyptian or Hermetic tradition or some import from Persians, refers to it and believes that it was an. Obviously, I don't believe that it was not influenced. Zoroastrianism and other near ancient Pelican would put it as an organically Jewish movement. In I think something like 180 AD, whenever he wrote, referred to Gnosticism as the first heresy, and pegged Simon Magus in the book of Acts as the first Gnostic. And Simon Magus claimed to be God.
Just to jump in,
Go
people
ahead.
are saying your audio is choppy. Could you? I'm sending you a link, another link for Whereby. Whereby seems to work better with phones. Whereby.com/tjump. I put it in the private chat if you see that below, and also should be emailing it to you shortly.
Audio.
Do you see the link in the private chat?
Yeah, I can't. Oh, there we go. Whereby.
Yep, that's the one.
Perfect. So you want here, there.
Yeah, join that one, and you can leave this one because it's
Perfect.
another thing. All right, how are you guys in the chat again? Kind of outdoorsy. I don't know if I'm outdoorsy. I do outdoor stuff to stay in shape mostly, but I don't know if I actually like the outdoors. I don't ever do snowshoeing. All right, let's try now. Testing the audio. Can you count to 5 for us?
All right. How do I sound, guys?
Much better. Much better. All right. So you're talking about Gnosticism. What is
See a chat,
Gnosticism?
so.
Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Now I can't hear you.
All right.
TJump.
Chat. And can you check the settings? Settings. View settings. View settings. Yeah, it's going through on my end. Can you check the settings? Settings. This one there.
Chat. Open chat. Check the settings. Audio settings. Give me a second. Settings. Audio, video, front, AirPods.
Testing. Oh, he left. Maybe yes, you can be refreshing. Who knows? There we go. Metaphysical substrate. Did his earbuds lose Bluetooth connection? Lots of good discussions. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. All right. So we were talking about Gnosticism and what is Gnosticism and why do you believe it? Please continue.
Yeah. So Pelican would peg it as an organically Jewish movement. Obviously, I'm sure it had plenty of influence from other ancient Near East traditions at the time and prior to it. Irenaeus would peg it as in his book Against Heresies around 180 AD would peg it as the first heresy of the church and claimed that Simon Magus was the first Gnostic, or at least the first recorded Gnostic, and claimed that Simon Magus equated himself with God. And I think that's important because I'm trying to establish, or at least from my perspective, my belief is that Gnosticism is the true orthodoxy. So as far as being a contender for it, being the first heresy, I think sets me and others up on solid ground to at least assert the possibility that we could be the true Orthodox faith, if that makes sense.
So because it was the the first heresy. Historically, that means it could have been the original thing, and then it was portrayed as a heresy when it wasn't, kind of an argument.
Correct. And I adhere to a form of Gnosticism which I'm more or less created, I guess you could say. I refer to it as Reformed Thomasian Gnosticism. So Reformed because I'm trying to get back to some ideal, I guess. Thomasian because not in an errant way, but we hold loosely to the Gospel of Thomas. And as far as the Gospel of Thomas, Bart Ehrman would place it somewhere between the middle of the 2nd century to late 1st century. Elaine Pagels, who studied Gnosticism for 40 years, would place it contemporaneous with the Gospel of John. So that would place it somewhere between 60 and 90 AD. I'm sure you'd peg it somewhere more around 90 AD.
I'm a big fan of Bart Ehrman, so I would with Bart Ehrman on pretty much all of his historical dates.
Well, so Bart Ehrman's historical dates actually allow for the exact same interpretation that Elaine Pagels just did. He just gives a broader range.
Gotcha.
The reason Elaine Pagels, the reason pegs it with the Gospel of Thomas is because when you compare and contrast the Gospel of John, because if you compare the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of John, whether it's thematically or there are various ways in which thematically it seems as if one was written in response to the other. So even though from her perspective she couldn't say the Gospel of Thomas came before the Gospel of John, in her analysis she concludes that either the Gospel of Thomas was written as a response to the Gospel of John or vice versa. John Ives Lilop, he's French, I don't know how to pronounce French names. John Ives Lilop is a Eastern Orthodox priest from France who dates it similarly, or believes it dates back to around the time of James, somewhere presumably around 50 AD. And there are many reasons why he does. He actually has a translation of the Gospel of Thomas. And I'll speak to him here in just a moment. But the Gospel of Thomas, interestingly enough, 70% of what's in the Gospel of Thomas is in the canonical Gospels. So as far as a definition of Gnosticism, it's my belief that Gnosticism is a theological, philosophical, or spiritual belief that there exists something to know and that the knowledge of which changes everything. My belief is that piece of knowledge is the concept or the possibility of infinity, which I'll get to here shortly. But what I believe that means, this notion of infinity, is that a few statements, all essentially meaning the same thing but said differently. Essentially, I believe that the gnosis, or the knowledge to be had, the knowledge that can be known, that we are all God, imagining that we aren't, or that we are all the same being, dreaming that we're separate persons, that we're infinity, experiencing what it's like not to be, that we are all one infinite subject, perceiving ourselves as a multitude of finite objects. I got 3 small verses from the Gospel of Thomas to kind of demonstrate a little bit where the Gospel of Thomas kind of points to these same notions. In Logion 22, it says, the Gospel of Thomas says, when you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below. Or Logion 4, for many who are first will become last, and will become one and the same. Or Logion 49, for you are from it, and to it you will return. An excerpt out of John Lilop's interpretation or translation of the Gospel of Thomas. It says this: in this new translation of the Gospel of Thomas, John Ives Lilop shows that the Jesus recorded by the infinitely skeptical and infinitely believing Thomas has much in common with Gnostics of non-dualistic schools. And non-dualism, at least as far as I understand it, is a form of negation. form of negation similar to Aristotle's or Nagarjuna's system of logic, where they utilize terminology such as true and not true rather than true or false, or in jurisprudence where they say guilty or not guilty as opposed to guilty or innocence. These forms of negation or non-dualism can be seen in Christianity through apophatic theology or negative theology in the Eastern Orthodox tradition. They will refer to God. They will say the most fundamental and truthful predicate that we can give of the essence of God is that God is not finite. In the Catholic tradition, in the Western theology, it'd be the via negativa, by way of negation, who likewise say that God is not finite. In Buddhism, it's called the path of negation. And obviously, Buddhists conceive of supreme reality as being nothing, and we could say much to that, but I try not to think of nothing in terms of lacking substance, but rather lacking differentiation. So think of non-dualism, which brings us to Hinduism. Hinduism also has a type of negation called neti neti, which means not this, not that. It's referring to the non-dualistic. It's a process that non-dualism utilizes, such as the Advaita Vedanta tradition, where essentially what they're alluding to is the not two-ness of reality, right? Non-dual, not two. Which brings us all those forms of negation, or that this idea of apophaticism or negative theology, negative inference, it points to, I believe, this notion of infinity, right? And the way that I'm utilizing infinity is similar to the way that the ancient Greek philosophers would use an arche principle. Think of infinity actually first as the epitomization of Anselm's ontological argument, which is the highest order or highest magnitude of infinity. So not just infinite in one way or in some ways, but truly infinity. Think of Georg Cantor's mathematical infinity of infinities in terms of an infinitely actualized ontological reality, right? You have, and I have a list here of a number of individuals throughout history, theological, philosophical, scientific individuals who hold to various notions of the infinite. Anaximander's apeiron, which is defined as boundlessness, which is an apophatic definition. It means not bound, right? You have Heraclitus's logos, which can be interpreted a number of different ways, but he simultaneously utilizes the definition of infinity as the undifferentiated material substrate from which all things come. Just as a point, I think we might eventually end up talking about time, but I thought it was interesting that Heraclitus holds to what we would probably refer to as an A theory of time, whereas Parmenides, a later contemporary, would hold to more of what we would call a B theory of time. But Parmenides had being as an arche, Thales water, and Anaximenes had air. But Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they utilized logos as their arche principle. The Stoics also used logos as their arche principle. And it wasn't actually the notion of logos, though it wasn't limited simply to this notion of infinity, was not really separated from this notion of infinity until Philo of Alexandria, the Gospel of Thomas, Justin Martyr, and later Christian theologians who would come to interpret it vastly differently than their Greek philosophical predecessors. Theologians often utilize God as their arche principle. Physicists might utilize superstring field or M field or super unified field or just energy as their arche principle. Materialists utilize matter or presuppose matter as their arche principle. An atheist may say something like reality is the archaic principle. I know, and I agree with on this. A conversation I've heard you had is where you defined reality in terms of what's or and I forgot how you utilize reality in a way that that I didn't disagree with. Those are a number of individuals who've had who have varying types of archaic principles. I think this is important. Nicholas of Cusa, who was I think maybe 14th century theologian who was later deemed heretic. He wrote a paper in the guise of geometry where he said infinity is and utilizing infinity as his archaic principle, he said infinity is a circle whose center is everywhere and yet whose circumference is nowhere. Spinoza likewise utilized infinity as his archaic principle. He was Einstein's favorite philosopher. And in the Ethics, he said, if God is infinite, God is the one substance, and there can be no other substance besides this one. The substance must have infinite attributes, and that we cannot be separate beings, but rather must be modes of the one. He referred to it as Deo sive natura, God that is in nature. In the Ethics, chapter 1, proposition 11, he said, God or substance consisting of infinite attributes, of which each expresses eternal and infinite essentiality, necessarily exists. Georg Cantor, after Spinoza, Georg Cantor utilized the infinity of infinity as a type or essentially or effectively utilized the infinity of infinities, his conception of the infinity of infinities as his archaic principle. He would have never explained it that way. But Cantor said that he believed that the opposition to the use of actual infinities in mathematics, philosophy, and theology was based upon a common and pervasive error. Whatever mathematicians may have assumed in the past, finite properties cannot be predicated in all cases of the infinite. Such attempts lead inevitably to contradictions and misunderstandings. In explaining this to Vivanti in a letter in 1886, he pointed to Aristotle as the source for the medieval doctrine infinitum actua non datura, which is something that Cantor described as a basic tenet of the scholastics and as the inspiration for centuries worth of opposition to the actual infinite. So that's just to, I think, the theology. Christians, Gnosticism, Gnosticism as I am, or Eastern Orthodoxy, Catholicism, Protestantism, they would say God is not finite. Paul even says in one of his letters that all things are from him, through him, and to him. The Jewish Kabbalistic tradition conceives of God as Ein Sof, which is the definition of Ein Sof is unending, not ending. It's also an apophatic definition. Islam, the Sufi Islamics, Sufi Islam, or the Sufi Islamic tradition is very Neoplatonic, and according to Sufi theology, God's infinity requires the existence of creation, and obviously Neoplatonics utilize some conception or notion of the one. Hinduism, Vaishnavedanta, they would say Tatvasami, that whatever Brahma is, Atman is, that whatever Brahman is, you are that, Tatvasami. We spoke about Buddhism's nothingness. The Taoism, chapter 4, says that the Tao that be emptied can never be filled, infinitely deep, it is the source of all things. And lastly, that the Jainist tradition in the East, started by Mahavira, said, or that this tradition, the Jainist tradition, they discovered before Aristotle even, they discovered the distinction, or should I say before the pre-Socratics had, that they discovered the distinction between the infinite and infinity. the difference between that which goes on forever in some way or aspect of being from that which goes on, or from that which is truly endless. They also discovered magnitudes or orders of infinities, such as being infinite in length, infinite in area, infinite in volume, and infinite perpetually. And so I utilize Gnosticism utilizes, such as many other traditions, utilize infinity as not only an archaic principle, but that through this new conception of infinity, that we have a real shot at a truly perennial philosophy. And that's my introduction to Gnosticism.
All right. So, what about Gnosticism do you think goes beyond science, the typical naturalistic worldview?
Goes beyond it. What do you mean?
Like, so my metaphysical worldview would be metaphysical naturalism, which would be the ontological view that we don't posit anything beyond what science posits. So if there's anything more than what science says, it's probably just imaginary. And so I think that is the most correct worldview. And what does Gnosticism say that goes beyond what science says?
So are you a materialist?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that's difficult for me to answer because I understand that science itself limits itself to the physical world, right? The empirical approach generally, induction generally, and that at least, I don't know, in a real sense, it doesn't have much space for immaterial notions of the immaterial, right?
No, I probably wouldn't agree with that. So, for example, there's a journal of parapsychology that is allowed in naturalism where there's research done into parapsychological phenomenon, ghosts, psychics, those kinds of things. So science doesn't limit itself to the physical. Science only has verified things that exist that are physical. But science is perfectly fine with there being non-physical things that are potentially demonstratable via science.
Okay. So I guess, yeah, I guess that wouldn't be. Here's my issue with materialism: is that to predicate reality in the objective rather than the subjective is not only a presuppositional um, undertaking, when that I believe began with Aristotle, but consists to absurdity in that matter is not fundamental, and matter itself reduces to something that is invisible, intangible, and immaterial. And it's what we call energy. So to be a materialist would be to postulate or assume that material is the fundamental basis from which all emergent properties arise from. And yet that is not only not fundamental, but it itself arises from something immaterial.
I'm not sure I follow there. So energy is material as far as it's like the consensus of physics. Energy is material. I don't know why you would
Where?
think it's
No,
not.
no, how is it material? Material reduces to energy. So to say that energy is material would be redundant in what all you're saying is that material reduces to itself.
Right, because energy and matter
Material,
are the same thing. Like energy and matter are like two sides of a coin.
energy and mass are the same thing.
Um,
Material is not mass.
yes, it is. Matter is
Is
an
it?
object with mass. Yes.
Yes. Material is an object with mass. Material is not the mass. Material is the product or the expression of mass, but it is not the mass, right? So you could equate energy and mass, but you can't equate mass and material.
Those are
Material is an expression of mass as it is an expression of energy. So
what?
you can be a massist or an energist But to be a materialist would be predicating your worldview on something that is ultimately not fundamental and reducible to something more fundamental to it.
Wait. So in physics, like energy and mass are both material. They're both forms of matter.
Whoa. Who said no? You cannot say matter is reducible
I'm not saying that.
to
All of physics is saying that. So everyone in physics says matter.
No, they're not.
Yes, they
No.
are.
You're saying mass is reducible to matter. It is, right? Mass is reducible to
I
energy.
don't know what
correct?
you mean by reducible. I mean, like, so.
What do you mean? How do you not know what reducible is? You have an
It doesn't
expression.
reduce to anything. It's not like it's made of matter or matter is made of mass. No, they're just synonyms. They mean the same thing. It's like saying, is a bachelor reducible to an unmarried man? Like, no, they just mean the same thing.
No, okay. So why would you say that material has mass or matter has mass if matter is mass? You can't have something that you are.
You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't make a difference.
No, it does make a difference, and what you call it does matter. If not, then your position would lead to absurdity. It does.
No. The label you give doesn't make a difference. Matter, mass, energy, all of those things are material, physical things, and they are fundamental.
No. Mass is not material.
Mass
Material things have mass, but material or mass itself is not material.
What?
But rather, things that are material have mass.
No, that's wrong. That's
mass
physically
and
wrong.
Energy, mass and energy are equivalent. They're synonyms. They're two sides of the same coin.
No, they're not. No. Mass and energy are not synonymous. So, light has energy. It has no mass. Those mass and energy are not synonymous. Mass and energy are both forms of matter. They are forms of material stuff. They are not synonymous.
Wait. Can I say something?
Sure.
To say that mass and energy is a form of material or matter,
yes.
would be to say that energy and mass are reducible to material.
No.
Yes, it absolutely would.
No, that's like saying a red apple is reducible to red. Like, no, it is of a class of thing. No. It doesn't reduce to it. It's not like it's a lower level. Material is not a lower level that matter and light reduce to. No, matter and energy are a kind of material.
So can you get to a level of magnification ontologically in the physical world? Not talk about metaphysically, but can you get to a scale or a level of magnification ontologically in the physical world where there's no longer matter, only energy or mass? No.
Those are the same thing. So like for example, like if you zoom into a
gluons,
also matter.
No, they're not matter. They're what matter is made of.
No, matter is a class. Matter is a class of thing.
Class of thing. Yeah. Yes. And below that class of things. So even when who was it? Solms, SOLMS. Do you know who I'm talking about? The guy that you just had on maybe a week ago.
Maybe. Why?
Mark Solms. Mark Solms. There you go. He said as much. He said mass is reducible to energy. You didn't fight him on it.
Because he means they're convertible. They can be converted like E equals MC squared. They don't reduce to it. They're equivalent.
No, energy and mass. Yeah, energy and mass, not energy and matter. What? Mass is what gives rise to matter.
No.
Matter is reducible to mass.
No. Both mass and matter are synonymous. Mass and matter are the exact same thing. They are not different.
Pull it up.
I'm literally an expert in this. So I'm literally just telling you the academic definitions.
Hey, no, hold on. I gotta say something. Either way, no, pull it up. You pull up Stanford encyclopedia definitions all the time to prove your people wrong. Pull up a definition that will equate matter and mass as synonyms.
Matter is anything that occupies space and has mass.
And has mass.
Yes.
I am not, okay, so for instance,
what has mass and does not occupy space?
I have a name. I have a name, right?
You are wrong. Right? You are objectively wrong. Mass is matter. Mass is matter. Physics.
Matter has mass. Matter has mass. Then it is not mass because it has it.
No, it is. It is mass.
I have a name, but
physics.
I am not my name.
I'm looking at the definition in a physics book right now. Mass is matter. Done. You're done.
Where?
They are the same. They are the same.
Show me. or not show me, but there's more to the definition than mass is matter.
No, there's not.
Yeah. Yep. There has to be.
Nope. Mass is the amount of matter that forms a body. That's it.
Come on, buddy.
Mass is the amount of matter in an object. I'm just going through the definitions. Mass is the measure of matter. Mass and matter are synonymous.
Mhm.
Mass is defined as the quantity of matter.
Quantity of matter. Oh, wait a minute. No. So they can't be the same if one is a quantity or a property of the other. No, you can't.
They're the same.
No, they're not.
Yes,
You can't have a quantity. I have a body, but I am not my body. You can quantify my body, but you cannot equate me with my body. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's a linguistic thing.
This is
I have a name. Something you have. I have a name, so therefore I am not the name that I have because it is something that I have. Right?
No.
Material has mass, but material is not mass.
Oh my God. So you're going to have to be corrected by a physicist. I've told you were wrong. I've proven you were wrong. And so you were wrong.
No, you didn't prove.
No, I proved you were wrong. I proved you were wrong on this. Like, you don't get an opinion on this anymore. You've been proven wrong.
No, literally, when you came up with the definition to try to refute me,
stop. I'm going to mute you. I've proven you wrong on this. Move on. You've been proven incorrect. So you were incorrect on this. What? How does this?
Like you muted
wait.
Jim,
Stop.
But that doesn't mean that you win.
Stop. I've proven you wrong on this. Now, this has nothing to do with anything in your argument. You haven't shown how this matters to anything you've said. So you've been proven wrong on this. What does this have to do with anything you've said?
I have not been proven wrong.
You have been proven wrong on this.
No, you can keep asserting that, but you haven't proven me wrong.
I've proven
you came up with a jacked up definition.
I'm just going to kick you out if you waste my time on this. I've proven you wrong on this. I've proven you wrong on this. If you keep wasting my time, I'm just going to kick you out. Go to an actual point. Move on to something that matters to the topic.
Oh, you want me to go on to something that masses to the topic? Yeah, I will. Okay. Yeah, you like that, didn't you?
No.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know where we're going. You are claiming to be a materialist, and yet material is reducible to mass and energy.
No, material is not reducible to mass. How are you this dumb? Material encompasses all physical stuff, including energy. It does not reduce to anything. There is nothing it reduces to. Quantum fields are material objects. They do not reduce to anything. Material is a class that encompasses all energy, all matter, all mass. They do not reduce to anything. There's no reduction. None.
So would you say it like this, that everything in the classical physics,
everything that exists is material.
Everything in the universe is an expression of energy, is it not?
What? Material. It's material. Yes, it's material.
No. I'm saying
I'm telling you what I'm going to say. I'm a materialist. Everything is material. Everything is made of energy, which means it's material.
Energy.
Those are synonyms.
No, they're not synonyms.
They are synonyms. I'm telling you, don't get to define my worldview. I get to tell you what my worldview is.
You don't get to tell me.
Yes, I get to tell you what my worldview is. You don't get to straw man my position. I get to tell you what my position is. You don't get an opinion on my position. My position is materialism.
On whatever I want.
All energy.
Your opinion doesn't make sense because your definitions are convoluted.
No, they're not. They are perfect physics definitions. You are confused on the topic. You're dumb.
Matter has mass. It is not mass.
Material is all things with mass and all things with energy. Material is not synonymous with mass. Material is both mass and energy.
Okay.
What about this do you not understand?
Let me the superstring field or the M
is
field,
material.
However you want to. No, it's energy, is it not? And
it's material. Energy is material. You dolt. Energy is material, physical material.
All the vibrations from the
is physical, is material. Yes, those are also material.
Material physical world, right?
No, idiot. Those are material.
So, idiot.
Yes, string theory, material.
Buddy.
Quantum physics, material. Those are all forms of materialism.
No,
those are forms of materialism.
Those are what predicate.
No, idiot. Those are materialism.
The material.
Oh my God, how can you be this dumb? I will just pull up a poll of professional academic philosophers. It's called what is it? Something of the standard of quantum mechanics by Schlosshauser, right here. Here it is. Here is the study. Most physicists are materialists. Most physicists. This is the string theorists. This is the multiverse. This is the Copenhagen interpretation. All of these are materialists. Every single one of them. All of those theories are material theories. There is nothing in any of those that goes beyond materialism. They are all materialism.
Yeah, so I think you're conflating your notion.
No. I'm not conflating anything. You're just a dumbass. This is the consensus of physics.
Hey, I think you're triggered. So here, just because you utilize the material world as the ontological basis for not only your
the consensus of physicists do this.
No, hold on. You could be a materialist in the notion or belief that material actually exists, but if you push on any physicist and say what ultimately grounds the ontological physical world as we know it, they will say it's not actually matter, it's that which gives rise or is that which gives rise to matter.
Is not synonymous with matter, you moron.
I'm sorry?
Material is not synonymous with matter. Material is all matter and all energy.
Wait, say that again?
Material, materialism is all matter and all energy. Energy does not need to have matter. It does not need to have mass. It's still material.
Even though it's by definition immaterial,
no one says it's immaterial.
Isn't it?
No one says that. Energy is not immaterial. It is material.
So is it tangible?
Yes. It is measurable.
Measurable?
Yes, you can measure energy. That's what E equals mc squared is, measuring energy. It is measurable. You can weigh it. It is something that is material. Energy is material. Matter is material. Both are material. This is the consensus of all physicists. Materialism is both energy and matter. No one thinks it's immaterial. No one thinks energy is immaterial. It is material.
I'm gonna have to look up that. I'm gonna have to look up that distinction between material and matter.
Okay, why don't you just listen to what I just said? Materialism is both energy
I'm not taking your
and no. Forget that gibberish nonsense. What is materialism?
Responses as authoritative just because you have an opinion. You told me my opinion.
This is a different topic. This is a different topic. Whether or not matter and mass are the same is a different topic to whether or not materialism is energy and matter. Those are two different topics. So focus on the topic here. Materialism is both energy and matter. Energy is material. Yes, that part is correct. Please check on that. Check on any physicist.
So matter and mass aren't the same thing, though.
Whether or not they are doesn't make a difference. Mass is a thing that has, or matter is mass with volume. So that's it. What don't you understand about materialism is not both energy and matter.
Maybe, but okay. So let's assume that is both of those are correct, because I think you
forget. Who cares? The only one that needs to be correct is the only one that matters here is materialism.
Calm down.
Wait. You're strawmanning me to gibberish.
No. I'm trying to understand.
Right.
I'm trying to have a discussion.
Yes, I understand that. So the only thing you need to understand. The only thing you need to understand. Materialism is both energy and matter. That's what matters here.
Sure. Let's assume that you're right for the sake of argument, so we can move on, so you can be okay. Even if that is true, all of our all of the access that we have to anything that we just said, either one of us, is self-experiential. Our perspective, our access to the world is limited by sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, and emotion. We have no other means to the quote-unquote external objective world than those 7 means: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. All of those 7 means are inherently and by nature experiential and subjective. And so if you take Socrates' dream hypothesis.
So I just found modern.
Wait.
I'm just clarifying.
No,
modern
hold
philosophical.
We're moving on. We're moving on. You've freaking spurred on me. You've been rude. You've called me.
All right, you're muted.
I don't
You're
give a
muted. Shut
shit.
the fuck up.
Oh, okay.
So I'm reading the academic definition here. Modern
Really?
philosophical materialists include energy, forces, and the curvature of space-time. Right there. Wikipedia. Just the fucking Wikipedia. Modern philosophical materialists include energy, forces, curvature of space. Idiot. Yes, I was right. You're a dumbass.
I love it. I love it.
So yes, I was right. Now we know I'm right.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Okay, good. I love your Wikipedia pull up, but
yeah, okay, Wikipedia is a source because it includes academic sources. What you got proved wrong?
Hey, calm down, buddy. I don't know why you're freaking spurging out. You invited me on
because you're wasting my time on something that's obvious in philosophy, and you're disagreeing with it. Like, why are you saying something so stupid? I'm gonna mute you again.
You're the one conflating I'm gonna fucking mute you again. Mass. Then fucking mute me, pussy.
You're muted. Yeah. You're muted, dumbass. Like, wasting my time on this pedantic dumbass definition of matter and mass, so I have to explain to you what materialism is, that energy is also material, which is fucking obvious to anyone who studied even basic fucking physics, with nothing relevant to anything you said in your gibberish 10-minute opening that has any coherent sense whatsoever. What the hell, dude? Yes, obviously I'm going to get pissed at you when you waste my time with gibberish, don't address a single fucking point, won't acknowledge when you're wrong when you're given sources. Yeah, you're a dumbass. Like, obviously, I'm going to get pissed at you if you're just wasting my time intellectually. What the hell? Like, holy shit. Like, yes, materialism, both energy and mass. Not hard. This is not fucking hard. Now, I can grant, yes, there is a slight difference between matter and mass. Matter is a combination of mass plus volume. Sure, okay, fine. You know what that means? Nothing, because materialism, which was the point of what we were talking about, is energy and matter. There's no immaterial in that anywhere. So your point, everything you said was proven wrong. Do you understand that you're wrong about energy, matter, both material?
So can I say something to that?
Sure.
I want to say two things. One, that we've had two contingents here. It was matter and mass, and then energy, mass, and materialism, right? So you've already acknowledged the difference between matter and mass, just right there.
Yes, there is not an exact difference. They're both material, which was the point.
Thank you. Hold on. There is a difference between matter and mass, and it is significant.
They're both material,
relevant,
so it doesn't matter.
Relevant. They're not isomorphically identifiable.
That's not relevant to the conversation. So relevant to the converstion, they are not. They're the same.
So hold on, and that's one thing. The other thing is, if you look up the etymology of material and you look up the
etymological fallacy, doesn't matter.
Wait, no. If you look up the
all right, I'm just going to mute you there because I got to address both these points. This dumbass shit you said. One, in relevance to this conversation, we're talking about, is everything material? Matter and mass are both material. They are synonymous. That was the point I made. It's not about them being literally exactly isomorphic. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference to this conversation. You're trying to say that there's something beyond material. There is something non-material. Both matter and mass are just material. They don't reduce to anything non-material. They are perfectly material. So guess what? They're the same. Your argument is dumb. It does not address anything here. So yes, I was correct. Matter and mass are the same. They are both material. They don't reduce to anything. They are material. So you were wrong. Now, are they literally isomorphically the same? Doesn't matter to the conversation. You brought up a point trying to say they were immaterial. You were wrong. So this goes to the second point. Materialism, does that include energy? Yes. I gave you an academic definition. Yes. All physicists agree. They are materialists. They think, yes, energy and matter are both material. So no, nothing in physics indicates the immaterial, which was your point. That was the whole point you started with. So your point has been addressed. And the etymology doesn't make a damn bit of difference at all for anything. Lots of words change meaning. The fact that it started one way doesn't matter.
Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay. So it does matter, the etymology, because before Einstein, before we realized that matter reduces to energy and mass, before that,
who gives a shit?
We still had materialists.
So
right?
What?
Right. the definition never changed, even though we understood that matter, which was the basis for materialism,
Words in
to
science
something
change all
even
the
more
time.
fundamental. Yeah, they do. But in this notion, it didn't. It should have.
No, it did.
Once
It
we
absolutely
realized
did. I literally just wrote to you. Modern philosophical. I'm just going to mute you. I'm just going to mute you so I can address this again. Modern philosophical materialists extend their definition to other scientifically entities such as energy, forces, and the curvature of space. Modern philosophical materialists. That means the definition changed, you moron. Just like the definition of universe, which used to mean everything, now changed, means our universe instead of the multiverse. The definition of atom, which used to etymologically mean the smallest possible thing, no longer means that because we know atoms are made of new things. Etymological fallacy. It does not matter what the origin of the word is. Modern philosophical materialists include scientifically observable entities such as energies, forces, and curvature of space-time as materialist objects. What about that don't you understand?
Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a time when everybody. So you're right. The definition of materialism has changed. It used to be that everybody believed physical world reduced to matter, right? Then that changed, and we realized it actually matter itself even reduces to something lower. So they did change the definition correctly. So, but they should have changed the term that they were defining as well. They should have called it energism or massism, because materialism refers to matter, and yet matter itself is, we came to find out through Einstein, is even further reducible to something even more fundamental. So you're right, the definition changed, but the term should have changed as well, because the term is misleading, because the term refers to matter, but didn't change materialism. The term that changed, or that didn't change, even though the definition did, refers to matter, even though matter, we found out, is further reducible to something even more fundamental.
Which is also material, so it's not immaterial.
No. Now we're calling it material, but we literally passed the material point. Material refers to
you're
matter,
wrong. You're wrong.
Matter is
I've already addressed this. You're
itself
wrong.
Reducible to something even more fundamental.
No, you're wrong.
So
it's still material.
Can we move on?
Yeah, I've debunked you on this. We've already moved on. I've academically given you sources
to
debunk
you. You haven't debunked nothing.
You've been debunked.
Literally
You've been debunked.
A very good argument.
No, you have no argument.
Wait. No, you're right. The definition of materialism changed after we realized that matter itself reduces to something even more fundamental. But what I'm saying, and it's a good argument, is that the term.
Okay, I'm done with that fool. Oh my God. So fucking dumb. All right, peace out. See you guys later. Don Fulman, TjumpsRazor. Anything is imaginary until demonstrated otherwise.